Okay, we are already live on Facebook. So over to you, Professor Ashish Shah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Now, we are beginning the third session, Real Treks, Virtual Trails, Travel and Tourism in Digital Age. To chair this session, we have Professor Gopa Samanta from the University of Bardhaman. I just introduce her to the audience. Gopa Samanta works as professor at Department of Geography, the University of Bardhaman. Her research interests cut across the fields of urban, gender, and water. She has carried out many research projects in Eastern India with interdisciplinary methodology and collaborative research team under the financial assistance from different national and international institutions such as the ICSSR, Ford Foundation, World Bank, Australia India Institute, INR France, IRD France. As a geographer, she had passion for undertaking in-depth and field-based research. She acted as the gender chair of the Paris Sorbonne University, France in 2016. She was visiting fellow at Paris Diderot University, France, Australian National University, Australia, and French Institute of Pondicherry, India. Her first book, Dancing with the River, People and Life of the Church of South Asia, has been published from Yale University Press. Her second book, Negotiating Local Terrain in Urban Governance, Freedom and Functioning of Women Councillors in India, is from Springer Local Governance Series. Her recent book, Mobilities in India, The Experience of Suburban Rail Commuting, has been published from the Urban Book Series of Springer. She has contributed immensely through publishing journal articles and book chapters. She acts as peer reviewer of articles in academically acclaimed journals. She is dedicated to disseminate the knowledge of social science in general and geography in particular beyond the classroom and academic community. To reach the wider audience, she contributes highly to popular writing in Bengali, the provincial language, through news articles and other popular magazine articles. So now over to Professor Gopa Samanta to chair the session, ma'am.
Yeah, so who will speak first? Ashish, if we
Yeah, the first presenter, the Kakuli Deka Upasana Padgiri, they are not physically they are not present because they have some exam. So they have sent me PowerPoint presentation. Maybe
that we'll do at the end, as you said.
There may be a lot of technical glitches.
And the second presenter?
Yeah, from Devanjana Ghosh, then Pooja Singh, and then Rashmi Rani Anand and group.
They're three together,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So can we ask Devanjana to start? And there are altogether, Ashish, altogether we have
four presentations.
Four presentations. So 15 minutes. 15 minutes is, I think it's okay, no? Okay. So Devanjana, could you please start?
Sure, ma'am. Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, ma'am, and Kiran sir and Shah sir for this opportunity. So the paper is on. Are my slides changing?
Yeah. Yes. Now we are seeing introduction.
Yeah, ma'am. So the paper is on travel vlogs and placemaking, and specifically the vlogs based on Delhi have been taken as the case study. So the places are inherently filled with stories that shape the understanding of the people about their surroundings, and the travel vlogs are one of the way of capturing these stories and archiving them in the digital realm. And documenting travel narratives have come a long way, like from travelogues to vlogging. And there has been emergence of new media after the introduction of photography, and one of which is the visual media, that is in the form of YouTube, vlogging, etc. As a film helps in expanding our comprehension of a physical setting, the same is implied for the visual digital narratives. These offer its viewers varied experiences that transport the viewers to different places through the digital media. This experiencing of a place digitally enables the user to attach meanings to them, and as Creswell puts it, places are made from spaces which the people have made meaningful. So this paper basically aims to unpack the role of travel vlogs in digital placemaking through three major themes: the production of spaces through digital travel narratives through the lens of immobility; secondly, travel vlogs as a way of augmenting or adding to the production of space digitally; and lastly, reconstructing the idea of active engagement. The paper mainly aims to explore the shift of placemaking experiences from physical to virtual in times of global immobility. In other words, whether the digital experience of places is equally effective in placemaking and as the physical experience of those places. Secondly, to elaborate on the simultaneous addition to the production of space virtually through the travel vlogs. And lastly, it aims to focus on reconstructing the way we imagine our presence in a place. That is the way in which real-time experiencing of a place and ways of active engagement are being redrawn. So the data used for the study has been derived mainly from the secondary source, and that is the travel vlog channels in the new media platforms as YouTube and Facebook. And in this study, the travel vlogs shot in different locations in the city of Delhi have been used as the tool for data collection. The comment sections and the different audio and visual locations that have been portrayed in the vlogs have been used as the data for this study. The specific vlog channels that have been used for this study includes Gobble Travel Series, Delhi Food Walks, and the channels of travel vloggers as Jake Siplani and Kritika Goel. The study has been carried out through analyzing the content in the forms of recorded information in these travel vlogs. So through the content analysis, meanings have been extracted from the qualitative data in audio-visual format. Now, the first theme is production of spaces through the lens of immobility, that is digital placemaking. The travel vlogs that have been posted in YouTube and Facebook are the most apparent medium of representation of the experiences of the travelers in digital space. And this experience of the physical location are captured and archived, providing an opportunity to the viewers to virtually experience that physical space. So this experiencing of the physical or geographical locations is occurring through the visual and auditory senses. That is mapping of a place through the sensorium. As we all know, mapping has been an ingrained part of geographical studies. So, however, with time, the non-conventional ways of mapping has gained popularity largely. And this non-conventional ways involves mapping of a place through the various senses as oral, visual, haptic, olfactory. So all these, which provides holistic geographical experience of a place in its true sense. So this enables attaching meaning to those places and place making, therefore. And these travel vlogs are exact reproduction of a place. Like it contains all the attributes that a place has, which can provide the audience or the viewers an immersive experience by viewing these travel vlogs through their visual and auditory senses rather than the conventional way of mapping. For instance, in one of the vlogs, as I was seeing through, it was by Jake Sitlani, that is exploring Delhi in one day. So he has beautifully captured his experience of Sarojini Nagar market area of Delhi. So not only the visuals, but also the audio captured speaks a lot about the place, that particular location of Delhi. That is the detailed visuals of congested shops, the hawkers roaming in the streets of the market, a horde of shoppers like pushing and rushing through, and also like precautionary measure that have been informed by the vlogger of being careful with their wallets and phones while exploring the location, creates a detailed visual of that place in the minds of the viewers who are watching the vlog. And also the auditory experience that the viewers go through. watching that vlog, the viewer is immersing into the experience of being in Sarojini Nagar market in Delhi. The shouting that has been captured, the shouting of the hawkers, for instance, a hawker was like selling cosmetics and shouting in their native Hindi language, like "Some do," that is 2 for 100 in the vlog. So he was like trying to sell beauty products which originally cost much more. This information also provided by the vlogger to the viewers further adds meaning to that particular location of Delhi. So all these intrigue details of the vlogs forms a immersing experience for the viewers, and they can further attach meaning to those locations. And in this vlog, he has also beautifully captured his experience of a rooftop dining in a European restaurant named Drams. The elegant setting of the place, the lighting, and the city's view from the rooftop, along with the European cuisine served, has all been captured and provides an immersive experience of that place to the viewers. The soundscapes that have been captured, like the strong winds blowing and the view of the Qutub Minar from the place, all these serene, romanticized urban view also like stirs an imagination in the minds of the viewers to form a particular perspective about that place. So, thus these experience of two different locations in Delhi has been captured and conveyed, which enables the viewers also to attach different meanings to these two different locations and to experience them. And thus creating the perspective of these places in the minds of the digital media users to form their digital experience of the place and hence digitally place make. It enables the users basically to formulate their own perception of the place. Similarly, in one of the other vlogs of the Gobble Travel series, like the essence of old Delhi that has been captured and shared in digital space, the in detail storytelling component in that vlog about each and every speciality of Chandni Chowk market of old Delhi, also like her interactions, the vlogger's interactions with the local shopkeepers, the rickshaw rides through the narrow lanes of old Delhi, all captivates the viewers and engages them throughout. The viewers digitally experience how a stroll through the lanes of Chandni Chowk in Old Delhi would be like through these vlogs. Like it captures the 300-year-old Chandni Chowk market and takes the viewers through the Asiana Quarter, that is the lehenga store, and then the oldest jewelry shop in Chandni Chowk, that is Sri Ram Hariram Jewelers, about 2 are some of the examples of the places and the stories of those places that are highlighted in the vlog. So like which brings forth the experience of the authenticity of old Delhi for someone who has never been there through these vlogs. And also the moments of ecstasy of the vloggers that have been captured in the vlog, like while trying the lehengas or while going through the rickshaw ride, and the refreshing expression after having a glass of kulhar lassi in the scorching heat. So all these are engaging factor for the viewers, which enable the digital placemaking, as certain emotions and meanings gets attached to that particular physical location of that place, that is virtually getting attached in the viewer's mind through these vlogs. So in this way, the mere pointed locations on a conventional map can be unconventionally mapped while experiencing the physical locations digitally by auditory and visual senses, forming meaningful locations like which
Devanjana?
Cresswell pointed. Yes, ma'am.
Devanjana, we are seeing the slide which is mapping a place through sensorium. So are you changing the slide or it's okay?
No, I am here.
Oh, you are here. Okay, okay. No problem.
Yeah.
Somebody
So
posted in chat.
as this Cresswell as points out, like this is a very important aspect of placemaking. Now moving on to my next theme, that is travel vlogs as a way of production of space digitally, like further adding to the digital space. uh, the concept of movement and pauses in a space, that is in an abstract space, we navigate through or we move through, and the pauses that we make in an abstract space are always well curated ones and never random ones. The pauses define our experience of a particular place and place making. We take those curated pauses because we attach meaning to those particular place, and the meaning making occurs simultaneously with place making. And similarly, the users in a digital space, which is an abstract space, they move through the act of scrolling, and the viewers or the users do not just randomly take a pause at any video or information. These pauses are well curated, and these pauses are taken in the forms of comments and likes in the digital spaces, and are like evidence of meaning making out of that shared blog or post. The vlogs to a great extent also influence the pauses over curated information over the digital space. Hence, there is like simultaneous production of geography digitally while sitting at an entirely different physical location, and placemaking digitally at the same time. So these travel vlogs attract enormous number of pauses, like while navigating through the digital space, in the forms of millions of likes and views and comments and shares and subscribers that are making an addition to the geographies of the digital, where space is being produced and reproduced. Now moving on to the idea of reconstructing the idea of active engagement through the vlogs, that is, the travel vlogs create a strong urge amongst the viewers to share the experience of that place posted by the vloggers. Both the parties, the viewers as well as the vloggers, they engage in real-time interaction about their experience of the same place in digital space, and which is mostly evident through the comments. As we can see here, these comments reveal that the vlogs create a strong imagery in the minds of the viewers. The viewers adds meaning to places through the different attributes that they see that have been captured in the vlogs. That is mainly through the visuals and the soundscapes. These comments reveal the strong desire of the viewers to share the experience of placemaking through the act of intimate co-presence in that space. And the digital experiences of the places are so engaging and immersive, and are evident from these.
Could you please unmute? Somebody is. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. So from these
2-3 minutes more.
Yeah, ma'am. So from these comments, it's very evident that the viewers are trying to form a connect to that particular place. For example, like the last comment here, one of the best vlogs which brought tears in my eyes. So the small detail gone into this video is amazing. So like the person here, it through this comment, it's very evident the person here is getting a connect to the vlog. Maybe physically the place has not been experienced, but virtually the vlogs are engaging enough to create an immersive experience to evoke emotions, and emotional attachment to any particular place is what is the basic idea of placemaking. So lastly, the conclusion. Therefore, through the travel vlogs, the digital placemaking occurs by the audiovisual experiencing of the place, and also the creation, uploading, and circulation of the content in the digital media adds further to the production of space digitally by archiving the travel narratives in that particular place. And lastly, the likes, comments, and shares are quite evident of the immersive and engaging experience and meaning making out of that place, which are essential to placemaking process digitally. And our idea of presence in a place is redrawn like by the active real-time engagement through the comments. So thank you. That is it from my side.
Yeah, Debanjana, it was a wonderful presentation, and really I'm so happy to hear that even placemaking is possible in digital mode through blogs. And I never tried these ways of looking into getting into a place or something, but it's quite interesting. And only a small comment from my part on your work, that I was thinking that maybe if you continue this work, and now if you think about that, when everything is offline possible, so what is happening, maybe if you try to look into, as you said, that you have built your argument on the basis of the secondary material, as you have seen the comments, or kind of thing. But I was thinking that maybe after COVID, probably this will continue, as I know, because earlier when I was a kid, and I used to in Bengali we use a term called manos bhromon, that we read something and we think about that place, and that way we try to enjoy certain kind of place. And we also build images of a place when we read about a place. So in that sense, I'm thinking that you will continue this work further and expand the work further, and you can accommodate people's the participants view who are using these blogs. And maybe they are most often, or if they're thinking that okay, physically they can go to the place, so why they would be interested in blog, something like that. So that comment I only have on you, and probably we will have a round of questions at the end. Ashish, is that okay from participants? So
Yes,
we take
yes.
we take all the presentations, and then we will take the questions. So I would like to request the next presenter.
Pooja, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Okay.
Give me a minute.
Just share your slide.
Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes, Pooja. Go ahead.
A very good evening to everybody present here. So I'll be presenting my paper titled Traveling in the Digital Era, Mapping Places Through New Media Technologies. As we know that geography has lately been seeing a digital turn in every sphere of the everyday life, from leisure, work to travel. And so the way we look at our world has really changed by the introduction of the digital. More so over in the domain of traveling, these changes are very much visible as travelers are now experiencing places and capturing and documenting places through different digital mediums. This has led to a vast generation and circulation of travel-related content online, which further also explains that a vast amount of data needs to be analyzed and understood in order to see how places are now being represented. The introduction of the digital and the use of the digital has also led to a few number of emerging categories of travel as well as travelers who are now frequently using the digital platforms for various purposes. Some to stay connected with their fellow travelers, other to represent their travel, yet others to give feedbacks and reviews. This indirectly and directly somewhere explains how we map places and how we see mapping has now changed through time due to the introduction of the digital. So my objective here for the paper will be to analyze how one of the emerging niche categories of travel in India, particularly offbeat travel, is transforming how places are understood, how places are represented, and how it ultimately leads to newer practices of digital mapping. So as we know, the practice of mapping has seen vast cultural shifts from the introduction of volunteer geographic information to the use of social media apps and geotags to understand locations, people's behaviors, mobility. And recently, in the domain of travel and tourism, travel-related apps are now creatively using the digital platforms to reframe and rebrand places, their neighborhoods, such as Airbnb is frequently using. Airbnb hosts are frequently now using their profiles to rebrand their places for urban tourist attractions. Um in the domain of travel and tourism, further, virtual tourism has been there in the picture since long. Immersive experiences are a result of virtual tourism, which also includes space tourism. Travel and the meaning of travel has changed, where from booking to planning to researching, everything is now done online, and various categories of travelers, such as global travelers and digital nomads, backpackers, are some of the categories who are now frequently using the digital to represent their travel. uh, One of the important things which the digital has done is a disruption in the tourism and travel economy, where travelers are now themselves the creators and co-creators of experience, which also in a way it means that they are also leading to newer forms of mapping. They are directly mapping places now, not only co-creating experiences. uh, why have I chosen India? It is because the development of internet technologies in India is fastly increasing. Some of the recent reports have analyzed that a billion people will be connected by 2030. Domestic travel, especially, is increasing. It has increased 8% over the last 3 years. And the domestic Indian traveler now is excessively using the social media platforms for sharing their experiences and doing other activities related to travel. So specifically focusing on the offbeat traveler, who is also an experience-oriented traveler, and as per the data goes by the Google and Bain company, this category of traveler is having the highest engagement online for all other travel-related activities. So the methodology which I adopted was digital ethnography, where I firstly started by locating my field in the larger digital ecosystem, which comprises many other stakeholders, including generic travel websites, booking platforms, uh, other travel-related association and organizations. So I specifically selected Facebook and blogs because blogs have been one of the oldest media platforms which have existed since time, and it it is one of the platforms where people have established themselves firstly. Facebook, because it has been remained as one of the most popular social networking sites among the population at a global level. I then moved on to identifying my research relevant community, which was specifically the offbeat traveler, the offbeat domestic Indian traveler. This was done by carefully analyzing and understanding their specific traveler profiles, how they introduce themselves, whether they introduce themselves as offbeat travelers, adventure travelers, etc. Further narrowing down to the genres of travel they followed. And then also revalidating their said statements by also looking at organizations who authorize them or who identify them officially as offbeat travelers and relate them with such traveling practices. This was further done by using the search engine Google. A specific search parameter was used to retrieve a list of travelers. Screening of the list was done later on. And after the final compilation of the list of travelers, the posts specifically pertaining to offbeat travel and experiences were selected by using the keyword offbeat and also the synonyms of offbeat, which have been represented by three of the important dictionaries such as Merriam, Oxford, one. Content analysis was the main method of analyzing my data, which specifically included thematic coding. So to begin with, what is offbeat travel actually is, it is defined by three important choices, that is where to stay, what to do, and how to travel. These offbeat travel is mainly related to the choices we make, and these choices are totally inclined towards accessing the authentic and the authentic through the local. Hence, the travelers look for local homestays, which can be private or community homestays, and specifically organizations which directly involve local communities in their programs. The examples can be grassroots, green people, CGH Earth, etc. Uh, Another important thing which defines offbeat travel is what do these travelers actually do? What are the activities they perform? This includes participating with the locals in their everyday practices and actually adjusting to the local space of life and experiencing a place as it exists, unlike the staged experiences in commercialized tourism. And how do they travel? So they travel very differently from the typical tourists, which includes rejecting the guidebooks and rather seeking a local's guidance and a local company to move around the place. Hospitality for them is actually something beyond the consumer provider dyad, and friendly relations and meaningful connections are sought after. And they actually like exploring a place by doing activities which help them absorb the place, which help them immerse in the place completely, providing them a holistic experience. So the activities can be mostly walking, cycling, or simply strolling around in the place, having random interactions with the locals, etc. So as I move on to how places are now being mapped through these various digital platforms. So firstly, I would like to begin with how the text is now representing places in the context of offbeat travel. There are specific connotations describing the word offbeat, such as words on the screen. Offbeat places are usually termed as unknown, unusual, unexplored, not so popular, not so touristy. Uh, they can be quaint, they can be strange places, they can be remote places. Other words which are used to describe offbeat places are rare, uncharted, etc. What do these words actually signify? These connotations actually signify how the traveler looks at these places. The traveler actually looks at the local, the ordinary, as the extraordinary. The traveler looks at the everyday as something special, something unusual, and local is thus seen as something authentic. There are also a set of feelings which describe these offbeat places, and these include positive feelings as well as negative feelings. So these can be feelings related to self-discovery, the feelings related to otherworldly pleasures, experiencing something which they feel is something beyond the planet. Uh, these travelers mostly feel peace, contentment, and solitude while they are experiencing offbeat places. They and one of the feelings which almost all of these travelers encounter is feeling privileged and special in a very fortunate way, because as they feel that they are performing something which is different from the typical touristy practices, and they are trying to attach meanings with the places by making meaningful connections with the people and the place. But another set of feelings also includes fear, confusion, unease, uh, along with feeling thrilled. And this is because there's a fear of the unknown. There's a fear of uh, choosing the alternate path and choosing something different. There's a fear of either traveling solo, as most of these travelers prefer traveling solo. Uh, there is also a confusion because the excitement is regarding the unknown. The journey here is considered more important than the destination. Uh, However, all these feelings combined make these travelers really curious and thrilled at the same time. So, as offbeat experience is all about understanding the local and the cultural, here
Pooja, you
the
have to finish in 2 minutes.
yes, the local is seen as something very special with uh, using words such as gems, quaint village homes, and everyday lifestyle is also understood as an unconventional way of lifestyle which they need to adjust to. Another category through which these places can be mapped is through pictures. And travelers here are fond of capturing the everyday part, the integral parts of the locals, and rather looking for appealing views or scenery. But here the preference is mostly given to seeing the place through the eye of the local. Videos here are another important category which represents places in a very different way. It includes less of host interaction, more of content, and I the study actually analyzed that
Ashish, other people are speaking.
videos
Can it be muted?
actually represent an alternate form of electronic word of mouth, as here the whatever practices are taking place at the place are here substituted by the electronic word of mouth, because offbeatness is also about it also represents the suddenness of local encounters. uh, so I would like to conclude here by saying that offbeat travel, in a way, is representing and reproducing journeys and places through the eyes of the traveler, directly mapped by the traveler, and hence adding to newer practices of digital mapping. And simultaneously, this form of digital mapping is also promoting and encouraging responsible travel practices, as offbeat travel is all about accessing and approaching the local and knowing the local through the eyes of the local. Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja. It is also an interesting presentation and a different way of looking into the digital travel. So you are pointing to the fact that because of the digital uh, image and videos and information about places. So you were specifically looking into the off-beat travel kind of thing and how this
Yes.
off-beat travel images are being created or being marketed by different companies and groups and etc. So and this is what I was thinking, that it is very, as a traveler, as a travel writer, I was thinking that always, it is always a preferred way of being somewhere where not many people have traveled. So offbeat is in fact traveling to offbeat places is always lucrative for the travelers, and they try their best to be somewhere where not many people have already traveled. So and I was also thinking about this fear, you know,
Yeah.
fear and other things, and I was thinking about, I wrote a couple of pieces in Bengali almost all the time. I write in Bengali in most cases. So I was writing about this, offbeat places, when I try to offbeat places, and fear or insecurity is part of it. But always these travelers take this risk to have a very experience which is extraordinary. Not
Right.
many people
Right.
have. So these are also part of this risk, this fear factor, and being in a place, and local itself, and local way of looking into exotic ways. So how people stay, how people survive in their own community with the limited resources, something like that. And in that case also, even the travelers are ready to compromise with their comfort levels and other things. you know
Hmm.
so yeah, that's a pretty interesting paper, and I think it will you will have some questions at the end. And so I think from my part, I finished commenting on yours. So maybe we can ask the next presenter. And
Thank you.
I'm requesting the participants. So if you raise certain questions, and you can, I know it is the last session of the day, so probably most of you have run out of energy, but to still take some time to raise certain questions, and if you write those in the chat box, would be good. Okay, so who is coming to present now?
Rashmi Rani Anand, Kavita Arora, and Kavya Agarwal.
Oh, so three of them will be presenting together.
All are co-hosts, so can you can just share your
Okay.
slide.
Yeah. So you segregate like 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and 5 minutes. That would be okay for you.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. Our presentation today is titled as Digital Enhancement of Physical Space and Connective Turn in the Tourism Industry During and Post COVID-19 period. So, the main idea behind the paper is how the activity of tourism, the concept of geography, and the event of the pandemic brought together a stronger sense of digital tourism. So tourism is a global industry that is persuasive of local, national, and global economies. A lot of people and a fair amount of population depends upon the tourism sector for their everyday sources of income and experiences. There are several emerging concepts in tourism, including medical tourism and ecotourism, which have been prevalent since quite a few times. The geography whereas plays an important interlinkage with the geographical movement and connotation of space with reference to rejuvenation. So it contributes in the sector of tourism by giving the idea of defined space and the ideals of rejuvenation for people who seek tourism for certain purposes. Coming to the pandemic, so the unexpected global outbreak set a back on the entire human community. There were ban on movements and there were safety issues. So people chose to stay back at their homes. All of these three concepts interlinked with each other gave the stronger sense of digital tourism, so which opted optional modes to quench the thirst of exploring and retrogression. There was a possibility to go around places which were otherwise not open to tourism. Now, what exactly is digital tourism? So, it began initially with the digitization of tourism, where particular places offered 360-degree views of their geographical spaces. But later on, until the stage we are currently in, it has emerged as a concept of digital tourism in particular. So we have sort of used digital technologies to enhance our tourist experiences. So examples can be seen in the form of virtual tours of geographical spaces. You might have come across a lot of museums putting up their mixed reality interventions, a lot of biological parks organizing virtual walks on platforms such as Zoom and Google Meet to match the idea of digital tourism for the people which were in the aftermath of pandemic and were behind closed doors of their homes. Coming to the concept of digital tourism, the tourism is a leisure activity. It includes all the aspects of economies, and broadly speaking, it is concerned with the use of digital technologies to enhance our tourist experiences. So we can sit back in our homes and visit all the places that we want to using the different technological aspects available. This takes the effort of carefully curating content and the site where the digital tourism part is hosted. There's also a well designed transition between the physical and digital spaces, and people are aware of the existence of content in a way that does not break the sense of their presence. So they can be present in their homes as well, and virtually they can be present in the space they wish to travel. And people are moving to different layers of experience and such interfaces that are evolving. And in the digital and real worlds, they're intertwined. The people become present in a blended space and become essential actors in its use. Coming to the technologies that are shaping the tourist ecosystem, The first and the foremost technology is the mobile technology, which gives us the access to internet, and it allows us to move on to places that host digital tourism sites. Apart from that, there's data analysis, there's cloud computing, and there's blockchain, which manage all the backend developments. It's also there's also significant factor where artificial intelligence and augmented reality has taken up there. For example, ruined monuments or places that are ruined are now virtually augmented. We can possibly now have a look at how they might have been looked in the past and how they might have changed over time. Coming to objectives, uh, over to you, ma'am, Kavita ma'am.
Thank you, Kavya. So basically, the present study is an effort to analyze the changing pattern of tourism industry, which emerges as new normal from the intersection and confluence of physical space and geospatial and digital technologies. The study is basically trying to capture the digital visitors and their experiences in the present frame of digital tourism, which emerges during and post-COVID period, and its impact on overall tourism sectors. So basically in March 2022, we share 100 Google Forms to the people, which generally we were knowing that they are digitally at least visited once the new places. So we collected that data and we also analyzed. And these are the some questions we asked them. One was like that boost to hardware, software, and telecom industry. So 95% people were agree with that. Yes, they then the question was, are they able to see the fully that particular place? So 72% said yes, and 28% was disagree that they were not able to see. They wanted to visit those places and opportunities to visit more places. So 90% people said yes, there were more opportunities, but 10% people were still denying that. Safe travel time. So 56% people said yes, it's safe travel time, but 40% people were not agree, and they were again saying that this is not actually the to visit of particular place. Then access to more information. So 80% people were agree, but 20% people were not agree, and they gave comment also that some information is still missing. They can Google the things, but uh, whatever they can see in the places that is missing. Missing personal experience of touch, taste, smell, and emotion. So 100% people were agree to this thing. They are not getting the real experience. Loss to food and beverage industry. So 95% people said yes, and 5% people said no. They also get new ventures to earn the money. Loss to hospitality and transport industry. So 88% people were agree to this, but 12% people were also said no. There was not much loss, and they are trying to get the similar things like earlier. Missing perspective and actual view. So 92% people were agree that they are missing the real perspective and actual view. And when we asked this question, less enjoyable, so 68% people said yes, it's less enjoyable because they are not getting real experience. But 32% people were agree to this, that they are saying no, it's also equally enjoyable. They are looking new places, uh, finding out the new cuisine of the places, the staying of the people and their living conditions. So they were enjoying their things. Now there are few pros and cons, which Dr. Rashmi will elaborate more on that.
Thank you, Kavita ma'am. So now talking about pros of digital tourism. So we can say that seeing picture and video inspire people to travel and also provide them choosing the destination attraction. And travelers see themselves as the sum of all the experiences, and virtual tourism provide them that experience without actually visiting that place. In the time of pandemic, we can say that it is also one of the, it is actually a very resilient way of traveling,
in virtual mode. So we can say that it is more of resilient way dealing with the pandemic. And in the first half of 2020, we can say that tourism dropped by 70% due to the pandemic, and digital solution, or we can say that the digital tourism came as a solution. And we can say that present generation, they're like very well versed in the in community communicating in digital format, and and visiting virtual spaces. So there are various virtual realities app like Google Earth VR, Google Earth, which gives the sense of adventure of real tourism. If we see, if we go to Google Earth, we can have street views, then we can have um, uh, you can have a sense of adventure of real tourism, like climbing mountain or deep diving the ocean. And using these technologies, one can visit Mars too, or like different planets also. And we can have, like, we can drive a rover on a planet, and these images of planet are accurately mapped and modeled using NASA. And one can also visit different museums and galleries, and it is also very low cost, and one need only smartphones, laptops, and internet. So we can say that virtual tourism also helps in preservation of national heritage and environment by bringing in focus the importance of sites and the needs to preserve them through documentaries. So it is, we can say that it is also a sustainable way, and becomes more informative also. And it enables people to see places who have physical constraints in traveling, and is also less time consuming. Talking about cons of digital tourism, we can say that it does not match with the real experience of visiting a place. Then we can say that person misses the meeting and visiting of unplanned, unexpected experiences of the places, views of the people, which one can experience in a real journey. Kavya, can we have next slide? So we captured various responses and capturing the responses over changing view of space and travel due to pandemic. So people responses can be concluded in a way that they said that there is a creation of a digital landscape in the tourism industry, especially during the pandemic and post pandemic. In recent years, there has been significant business growth through the digital media, how the major part of tourism is going online through travelog, videos, and social media. And it is not only limited to likes and share only, but it is also about sharing experiences, real experiences. So we can say that it is more of like knowledge and information about sharing about a place, sharing of experiences of new place. It has become very easy. Then communication and wider relations. Physical space is restricted to laptop and tabs, mobiles. Then there is a mental stimulation. Then no physical health benefit is there. So now coming to the tourism industry impact during COVID, the pandemic, we can say that the pandemic has changed the shape of global travel, as there was shutting down of the flights and travel for most of the world. According to the United Nations World Tourism Organization, tourist arrivals in different destinations are estimated to have fallen 74% in 2020 compared to 2019. According to the newest edition of UNWTO World Tourism Barometer, international tourist arrival overnight visitors increased by 58% in July to September 2021 compared to the same period of 2020. And however, they remained 64% below 2019 level. So we can say that the foreign exchange earning from 2016 to 2019 grew at of 7% in India, as foreign travelers helped India in getting foreign exchange, but it dipped in 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic. Um, Now I'll be talking about digital tourism intensities and its consequences on industries. In Like there are various ancillary sectors within the tourism sector which made profit during COVID-19 because of the digital tourism intensities. For example, advertisements and other business services, then administratives and support services, telecommunication, they were we can say that there were rise in these activities. Then arts, entertainment, and recreation, human health activities, they were like performing within medium to high. And then if we take transport and storage, accommodation and food services, real estate, so they all performed very low. And this data is from OECD. Now I'll be talking about reasons of growth of digital tourism. So post COVID, or during COVID, digital and internet gave boost to tourism industry. During COVID, it was not because of digital enhancement of physical space, rather due to the pandemic, the industry faced disruption. It has seen that after vaccination, global travel activity rebounded sharply in the third quarter of 2021, while remaining far below pre-pandemic levels. The low level of travel indicate that people are still not feeling confident about COVID crisis. Economy of many regions are badly disrupted, and people do not have finance to travel at new places amid all the cries. They got a new option of digitally visiting a new place. Now coming to the suggestions and recommendations. So we can say that tourism dependent region could be aided by strengthening links between tourism and locally produced agriculture, manufacturing, and entertainment. Through online shopping, a visitor can enhance his or her experience of that place, and the region will economically be benefited. Technology can also play an important role, with social distancing and health and hygiene protocols like to remain in place for foreseeable future. Touchless service delivery and investments in digital technology could be the bridge to recovery. Norms for service charges of digital tourism needs to develop. Authentic travel groups and agency needs to enter in the newly emerging market. So we can say that digital tourism or the virtual space can be the future of tourism for sure. And the study is also important to examine the extent of virtual tourism, how it is perceived over virtual space over the real space. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you very much. So, Ashish, so shall we go for?
Yes, there are one more presentation left. I think I just try to show that slides if it works.
They have problem of internet and other things. Okay. Yeah, you can see that.
Okay, then there is the audio file as well. Okay. Just
My name is Kakuli Dekar and I am a Bachelor of Planning student from School of Planning and Architecture, Gopa. I, along with my co-author, Ms. Upasna Padgiri, will be giving a presentation on our paper on reinventing the tourism sector through digital intervention, which will be a case study of Majuli River Island, Assam. Slide number 2 shows the content of our presentation and the flow of our presentation. Slide number 3 is a brief introduction to our study. In today's world, tourism is a diverse and multifaceted socio-economic.
Is it working properly?
Which is seen as
I think it is the content I'm seeing now.
Particularly as a major source of income and employment. It is an important aspect of India's and the world's economic prosperity. In terms of GDP and foreign exchange revenues, India's tourism industry is one of the country's highest contributing service industries, employing millions of people. With time, as technology continues to take over human life and its necessities, the tourism industry as well is getting increasingly impacted by the advancement of it. One of the contemporary trends in global tourism industry is the advancement and incorporation of internet and other new technologies as keeping up with the rapid development, which has led to a new approach of tourism. Modern tourism development is taking place in a digital economy, which is also changing the traditional systems and processes of tourism making. And it is now more flexible and consistent with the realities of today, and also more competitive in the developing digital world. Tourists now may easily discover the famous attraction as well as the lesser known sites or any notable characteristics of any area, be it a city, town, or even country, before even visiting it. One of the most popular way of doing that is just typing it over Google or looking it up in Google Maps. The following concept will be studied in our little river island of Majuli. Slide number 4 presents us with the aim of our study, which is incorporating new age digital intervention to strengthen and uplift the tourism sector of the Majuli sustainability. The preliminary methodology that we have applied for the study includes conceptualization of the study, which was followed by identification of the need of the study. This was followed by the primary study of the area, which included tourist questionnaire survey and the survey which was done for the locals. Perception study from tourists was done next to understand their thoughts on tourism development and digital tourism. Later, a map was formulated to identify potential areas of development for infrastructure development over GIS. And the final stage was in proposal of intervention. Slide number 5 gives us a glance of the study area. Majuli is a district in Assam and is known as the world's biggest and oldest riverine island. It is surrounded by the river Brahmaputra in the south, river Huvangiri in the northwest, and river Lohit in the northeast. The island is an emerging tourist destination due to its distinctive nature and cultural character. Majuli had a total geographical area of 1,256 square kilometers in 1950. Due to continual erosion by the river Brahmaputra, the entire area of the island was reported as 497 square kilometers in 2021. According to the Assam Statistics Handbook, the total population of Majuli in 2011 was 1,67,000. The district population has been dominated by ST and SC people for the most part, where missing and Dewi tribes were the key tribes residing in the island. Majuli's socio-economic situation is mostly dependent on the river Brahmaputra. Agriculture is the backbone of Majuli's economy. The island is also known as the center of Vaishnavism in Assam. There are hotros, which are Vaishnavite institutions that serve as residence for monks known as bhagwats. In Majuli, 65 hotros were constructed, but 50% of the constructed one have been lost owing to the river's erosion due to the island's erosion due to Brahmaputra. According to the Hotro Mahasabha of Assam, Majuli currently has 36 hotros in operation. The Majuli's natural environment has also been shaped by the river's edge of ecology. The island has 150 wetlands where a significant number of domestic and migratory birds may have seen at various times of year. 186 species of birds have been documented during the winter season, including some of the world's rarest. Now, in slide number 6, we will be looking at the tourism industry of Majuli. Tourism in Majuli is one of the key economic sectors apart from agriculture. For the tourist industry in the Majuli, the tourist inflow pattern from the figure at the right shows us the seasonality. The maximum tourist inflow happens in the month of October to April, which is the non-monsoon season in Assam, and it subsequently decreases during the monsoon season, accounting for the flood and heavy monsoon in the area. When the number of tourists coming to Majuli are looked upon, a larger chunk of the percentage of tourists visiting Majuli is domestic tourists. where majority of them is coming from the state of Assam. Average duration of stay in Majuli per tourist in the area is 1 to 3 days, making the destination a perfect center for weekend getaway for the nearby cities of Jorhat, Lakhimpur, and Dibrugarh. While it was discovered that Majuli has an enormous potential to develop as a tourist destination due to its rich cultural heritage, flora, and fauna, some weakness of the tourism activities lies in Majuli. One being data discrepancy, which is present over internet and inside. When looked upon Google Maps and Google, the internet fair, the lack of digitization of services in the area fails to give us the proper information that is present in the site. And hence, the island possesses a mysterious character for anybody visit from afar. Now, in slide number 7, we will be looking upon the findings which were discovered from the online perception survey. The online perception survey, which was conducted by a Google form, it was observed that 85% of the respondents choose to travel to a place because of natural and scenic beauty, as shown in this figure in the left. However, it was also found that the availability of infrastructure such as accommodation, transportation, connectivity, food were also rated very highly, as shown in the second figure. This demonstrates how infrastructure is critical to contemporary tourism, and that a place, no matter how rich in natural and scenic beauty, it cannot rely on that alone and needs to be supported with sophisticated planning and infrastructural development. Therefore, there is a need to identify the gaps in the provision of physical and social infrastructure in the island, and those areas that need improvement or lack adequate infrastructure, especially those playing a major role in the growth of tourism. While the intermediary sector like travel agencies, guides, tour used to play a key role in the tourism industry, in the present time, the tourists themselves take on organizing the requirements and put together their own travel packages, as observed from the figure below in the left below. It was found to be true in the conducted survey, as when asked where one look up for the information about a place before visiting, 91% chose internet, along with other options, but internet being primary. Also, a mere 10% of the respondents rated travel guide services as very important, and 26% of them rated it as not important. Furthermore, the online availability of details of hotel, transportation, and accurate mapping of the area have been rated very important by 65% and 61.67% of the people respectively, as shown in the figure below. With smartphones having become an essential part of the daily life and everyone acquiring newer devices technology every day, the contribution of mobile travel booking has also escalated. Smartphone and smart tourism have become a powerful tool for travelers, thanks to mobile apps that make travel really simple. Survey results also shows a similar trend, as when asked what digital intervention could be used in improving the tourist information, where 81.7% suggest that information to be made readily available online, and 63.3% suggested that the use of travel-based mobile application, and 55 suggested that the integration of infrastructure in Google Maps. Hence, in slide number 8, we will be next following the next part of the study, which will include identification of potential ecotourism development zone for infrastructure development. Now, why this is important as a part of our study? Because we emphasize on the importance of improving the services in the island. For that, further new construction of areas will be important, but given to the island's ecological threat of flooding and erosion, it is important or it is crucial to identify zones where development can happen sustainably. And given that we have the option of using a tool which is also digital as GIS, we can identify these potential zones. The identification of the potential zone was done using GIS process. This step, it is a very critical part of the study. This step is done by keeping all the consideration of different factors and their effect on the tourism sector of the island. For this purpose, 7 factors were selected on the basis of literature reviewed, primary surveys, and the needs of the island to map the potential shifts. The distribution of weight for suitability analysis was done using multi-criteria decision-making approach. In multi-criteria decision approach, AHP was used to calculate the weight, in which a questionnaire was prepared and distributed among experts from various backgrounds, and their opinions were weighed. In slide number 9, we are seeing some of the thematic layers which were used for the calculation of potential ecotourism zone. In slide number 9, we see a pairwise comparison matrix. Pairwise comparisons of different thematic layers were carried out using Satie scale, and comparison matrix was created for the identification of potential ecotourism sites. The consistency ratio and normalized weight of different thematic layers were calculated and is shown in the table at the right. Using AHP, the thematic layers and their weightage were then finally put into GIS, and the map and this following map was calculated. In the map, as you can see, only 14.1 kilometers square of the area are highly suitable for development, and any development can take place without consideration there. While majority of the island's area are moderately suitable, where it signifies that we can construct new interventions or new infrastructural development can be done, but with the consideration of the flooding and consideration of the ecological threat. This potential zoning can help us making new disaster resilience plan for the island. Now, in slide number 11, we will be talking about few of the interventions that we are proposing in the island. For the intervention part, the review of existing literature on digital tourism as well from the survey results shows that the tourism sector has been increasingly become digital, with people shifting to online models. Also, almost every individual today owns or knows how to operate smartphone and application. Taking this into account, and from the primary survey, that the fact that from primary survey 56% of the respondents were willing to volunteer to help the existing area correctly and correct existing inaccuracy, and that of 38% of the respondents would be willing to do it so provided with incentives. This study proposes community participation based digital mapping of Majuli with the help of Epicalate 5. As it is based on cloud technology, data can be collected and uploaded by multiple users simultaneously to the Epicalate 5 survey. Data required by the volunteers can be transmitted by phone together with GPS coordinates to a single web database and then displayed and analyzed using Google Maps or Google Earth. Similarly, using Google Maps, data from the online database can be accessed and presented on mobile phone. Furthermore, a data filtering option can be there, which allows seeing the data supplied by particular volunteers or specific data that falls within certain ranges of a measured variable or time. For the implementation of this intervention, voluntary participation from both residents of Majuli as well as tourists visiting Majuli can be requested through a collaboration with the Tourism Department of Assam and the governing body, or as well as the local business owners. This mapping can be done in 3 phases, where first we can start with the updation and detail of the mapping of the most popular and most frequented tourist attraction. In the second stage, we can move to the commercial nodes and the Majuli entry points of the islands. And third, we can go on to map the local nodes of or local village nodes of the island. Hence, in step-by-step approach, we think that we can together map the entirety of the island. Now, for conclusion, we are concluding the study with the thought that this study serves as an essential role in the digital age, as it is important for any place with such significant cultural and heritage, rich cultural and natural heritage, to be part digitally with the globalizing world to sustain. And hence, in that direction, this study provides a small step for betterment. Thank you.
So we finished, Ashish?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So regarding these last two presentation, I give my comments and then we'll see if people are asking questions. So we can take those. I don't see any question in chat box. Maybe some people will raise hand and will ask. I was quite while listening to these all these papers here on digital travel and making the places like Majuli in a globalized as a connected tourist center in the global tourist map or somewhere the third paper which was presented on how people perceive this digital intervention in developing tourism. So I was thinking that yes, it is true in a sense that tourism is the highly expanding industry. At least before COVID, it was a highly expanding industry all over the world, and the demand for tourist destinations and offbeat, tourist destinations, especially was on the increase. And the problem is when we try to think about one offbeat destination, then offbeat destination doesn't remain offbeat for a long time, because once it is offbeat, but only 5 years after, when we see that it is becoming a nice spot, then more and more hotels or more and more homestays or more and more Airbnb starts, and then these places becomes crowded. And crowding is not a problem, but the problem is the environmental cost of tourism is really, really very high. And what I feel, that my own understanding is, what people cannot do at home, they try all kinds of things when they're tourists. So tourist as a tourist, that identity as a tourist gives us luxury to do whatever we want to do. Sometimes we have to restrain ourselves of not doing things which at home. Like I would like to give one example, that one research we had with Kaveri Kunar, where Kaveri was showing that water, even in a hill town where there is a lot of scarcity of water, not much water is there around, and the hotels and the tourists, and the consumption of water by the tourist becomes huge, incredibly huge in comparison to the local. So at one point we have, like, we want to live like local, in off-it destination. On the other hand, we are not ready to compromise with our lifestyles even when we are a tourist. And the cost of that footprint, ecological footprint of tourism is considerably high. So when I was listening to these papers, and I was thinking that yes, it is good that if people are happy with a digital vlogs and videos and digital travel kind of things, and they cut down their actual travel, physical travel. So it is a good in a sense. But again, there are other side, like because these are employing sector, highly employing sector, because service sector and many people can work, and service sector is only rescue for people around the world to be engaged in some work where there is a decline in industrial sector and farm sector. So actually we are in a kind of fix when we think about tourism industry, travel, and digital travel. So in a sense, I was thinking that it is really good if people are happy with cutting down their actual travel to some extent, and try to enjoy more and more these digital travel sites. So but we really don't know, what is going to happen after COVID. And I'm not sure that we will be happy with digital travel anymore when there is no bar on our, traveling from one part of the world to another, or one part of a country to another. So let's hope for the best to come up. But yes, these altogether, what I would like to say, that these are pretty interesting titles and pretty interesting presentation, as well as we are trying to understand how digital geography especially. And I see some questions have come up. Shivam Jadhav has commented to everyone, sir, what are your views on promotion of ecotourism over UNESCO wetland sites, which are not so popular? What are the challenges we will face if we choose these sites as our research area? I think it's a, Ashish, it's a no, general question and not targeted to anyone. So we can ask anyone to respond to this, or what would we do for this? Hello?
Anybody from the presenter would like to respond on this?
Yeah, if you dear presenters, if you look into the chat box, and if you think that you are going to respond to this question, you can do, because these are more general comments on the panel, not particularly focused on one particular paper. And another comment is there, post-COVID digital tourism is really good way, and with the online showcase of rich traditional handicrafts of Assam and northeastern region, best way also to for conservation of biodiversity hotspot area, which are awesome tourist destination. This session was extremely good. Okay, so second, okay, so only one question maybe.
Then there is another person waiting, Manendra. Manendra, you can
Sir,
unmute. Yeah.
sir, I have left my question in chat box.
Oh, this is which one? We can't
The first
see.
one, Manindra Kumar.
Could you please read it out? I cannot see actually.
Yeah, we can't see it here, so please read it out.
Sir, my question is for Kavya ma'am.
Mhm.
Actually, I wanted to know how she identify the respondents. Like, how did she collected data on digital tourism?
Okay, so it's a
How?
methodological question. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Go. Yeah. So, Kavya, you want to respond?
Yes, sure.
Yeah,
So
please.
we collected the data with a Google form. We formulated a Google form and circulated it. And the first requirement to fill up the form was that the person has at least once, consumed digital tourism in the coming months or in the time of the pandemic. So that's how we accepted the responses and then accumulated and analysis all the data.
Okay, thank you.
So, and who wants to answer this question? What are your views on promotion of ecotourism over UNESCO wetland sites? Uh, if you, any of you want to? Okay, so maybe I can try, but I'm not a right person to answer, because I didn't have much on tourism industry and tourism geography as well. But what we feel that we have to look into critically what we call ecotourism as such. And ecotourism usually kind of, we always try to connect the idea of ecotourism with homestays and other things. But ecotourism, the very concept is linked to having a tourism without damaging the local ecosystem, right? And it is again a question like it's quite difficult to draw a conclusion on this, because sometimes like development and the ecology and development and environment, so it is another kind of fix. So but probably it is, at least if we really think about that, what really ecotourism is. In most cases what happens that we claim that is an ecotourism, but we don't have much stringent policy implementation on maintaining the rules and regulations, and we really are notorious to follow the rules, especially in India. So it becomes a problematic. But I think if ecotourism can be placed in its real literal meaning, then definitely it can be developed anywhere in the world. And what are the challenges we will face if we choose these sites as our research area? Yeah, because people are working on ecotourism. Shiva, if you want to clarify your question a bit, second question, if you want to speak, Shiva. Hello, are you there? Shivam, yes, you can speak. You can speak about the second question. What exactly you are trying to bring in? It's not very clear. So if you Ashish,
I think she is not there. I think we can wrap up the session because we are already running out of.
okay.
Okay, so
yeah.
your final comment, if you want to make some comment, Professor Samanta.
Yeah, okay, we can, if there are no other comments or questions, then probably it's time to wrap up.
Okay, so thank you very much, Professor Gopa Samanta from Vardhaman University, for taking time and chairing the session and listening patiently the four presenters who have taken a very interesting area of tourism and in the digital age. And I think everybody is looking for this, and we want the more development in this particular field of digital tourism, virtual tourism, because there are a lot of uncertainties still there, that what would be the situation in future. But still in that we are also getting ready with our digital technologies. At least there are many issues, many areas in that which can be studied. So I think it was a nice session, and thank you, Professor Samanta, again for chairing the session. And thank you all the participants who has patiently listening to the presentations at the end, because we have started from 10 o'clock and continuously one after another. There are all bombardments of all those heavy topics. Okay, and we got a very good participation from different part of the world, and we have so I think we should take a break so that we get charged enough for the tomorrow's session. It is also going to be a longer one. So now I request Aparajita there to discuss to announce that tomorrow's event or something.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Saha. First, let me thank Professor Gopa Samanta again for agreeing to come, and despite the taking such a long time and chairing the session, the participants here, of course. So tomorrow our session starts at 9 o'clock. And ends with the keynote address. We have several parallel sessions, two parallel sessions. So if you look at our conference program and the book of abstract, page 7 and 8, the sessions along with the Zoom links are given. So you can click on them and immediately get into those particular sessions that you are interested in. Also, the presenters have been sent calendar invites. So we hope to see you tomorrow, 9 o'clock onwards. Thank you so much once again. So we
bye-bye, Aparajita, and bye-bye, Ashish.